thanks, Gary, for joining me today. We're going to talk a little about you and your journey in life. And if you could, tell me a little bit about your life and who you were before Christ.
Well, Troy, I was born and raised. I went to the Christian Missionary Alliance Church. So I went to that church from the time I was 5 years old. When I was 14, I went to the Suncrest camp over in Pittsburgh. I was always active in the youth group. And at 14 at Suncrest camp, I gave my life to Christ at the camp, that summer camp. And that was the start of my journey.
So talk a little bit about your journey as a young man becoming a follower of Jesus. What was your life like in that experience?
Well, at 14 years old, obviously you don't really know who you are. You are striving to try and figure out who you are as a young man, as a teenager, and all the other things that go on. So coming home from that camp, obviously I wanted to grow. I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow deeper with Jesus. I wanted to tell everybody about what had happened. I wanted to share with everybody. But it was hard. It wasn't always easy. But I went to church. I served the Lord in church in just about every capacity, coming up through youth group. As a young adult, I just served in the church in many different capacities.
So many times when people talk about their testimony, they talk about all the mess that they went through before Christianity. So for you, it's a little different. Talk about how your experience as a young man becoming a follower of Jesus, how did that help you, propel you to be a late teen in your 20s as a follower of Christ? Talk about that process.
So once I got saved, I was just so excited to serve the Lord in every capacity. And it kind of propelled me. I was in a great youth group. I had a great youth leader. And so when I graduated from high school, I went right into helping and volunteering with the youth group. And my dad had been coming to church, and so I started, I served on the trustee committee with him. I learned sound, so I started running soundboard at the church. I was an usher. I served in the Sunday school office. I served in every capacity. Every time the doors were open, I was pretty much there. I wanted to serve the Lord with everything that I had and all the time that I had.
Do you feel, what did your relationship with Christ as a young man, what do you feel that protected you from or kept you from?
I was very, very fortunate. I never got involved in a lot of the things that typical teenagers went through. I wasn't, I was a bit of a square. I never wanted to go to parties. I didn't want to do all those things. I just didn't have any desire to. God kept me from all that. So everything that I wanted to do, I wanted to serve Him in every capacity, and I had no desire to live a worldly life at that point.
And as you have grown up and raising a fine young man that I've become very fond of, as he's a drummer on the worship team, you've developed a solid Christian home, and the attitude and the heart for service I see in all of your family. How has did that come from your parents, your folks, and how has that transpired, the heart to serve? Where does that come from?
I really don't know. I just always, growing up among strong, godly men in our church, the board of that church growing up, and everybody that was in that church, we just really had a great group of leaders and mentors in that church. So I've always had a servant's heart, and I lead even in my job that way with a servant attitude. So I just tried to instill that in my family, and everything, every way I raise Brendan. And Brendan has just been a tremendous kid. He's like a sponge. He just soaks all that stuff up, and he just has a heart of gold to serve the Lord in every capacity of his life.
So one of the things about your story is you have been a man of faith, raising your son and having a family that's faith-filled. You are a manager in business, and as a man of integrity, you maintain that. Talk a little bit about what that's like to be a positive, influential man of faith in a business sector.
Yeah, I've been very blessed. I work in a small office with about 10 people. We're like a family. One of the things that I instilled in my office whenever I became the manager about 15 years ago was I thought, I'm going to incorporate the family dining room table at my office. And while I can't obviously pray at mealtime, we've instilled mealtime at the office. So we get together as a group of people and we talk about family life, we talk about just relationships and things that we do, and it has made such a cool atmosphere to work in. And I do have a lot of great people that I work with. And we all serve each other. It's a team, but it's family first.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Last question for you. Somebody may be watching this and feels that they've grown up in the church and they don't have a testimony per se. They don't have a story to tell. Give me a word of encouragement for someone like that to keep pushing on, even in a protected family, similar to the environment you grew up in. What's a word of encouragement for someone like that?
I would just say I've often struggled with my testimony because I don't have one of those life-changing, game-changing testimonies. I didn't come from drugs. I didn't come from prison. But what I do have is a history that Christ loves me, and I just want to serve Him with all my heart, and I want to reach others for Christ as much as I can, and I want to serve others and love others the way He's loved me. So if you go about life doing those kinds of things, then you're going to have a testimony. It's a little bit different than others.
Sure.
But what a legacy and what a testimony you end up having.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary, for your time today.
Thank you, Troy.
Appreciate it.